Is it part of your job description when you disagree with something the president says to call a press conference and say, he's wrong about this and let me explain to you why? Is that part of your job description?
Not as CH.
Is that part of the job description of any aide that you know of to President Biden?
No.
How about for President Obama?
No.
How about for President Clinton?
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're into politics, policy, and straight talk from Capitol Hill, you're in the right place. Today, we're diving into a recent Senate hearing where Senator John Kennedy questioned Dr. Myron, President Trump's nominee for the Federal Reserve. It was sharp, it was real, and yeah, it had a few Kennedy zingers. Stick around as I break down the 10 biggest takeaways from the exchange, each one giving us a better look into how Washington works, or doesn't. If you appreciate clear, no-fluff breakdowns like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Let's get into it.
Senator Kennedy.
Dr. Myron, do presidents, any president, generally appoint their enemies?
Thank you, Senator, for the question.
Don't thank me. It just takes up time.
I believe that when they nominate them,
Do they generally appoint their enemies?
they don't believe they are when they're when they're making.
Do presidents, any president, generally appoint people that they agree with on social and economic policy?
I believe that presidents appoint people whose
That's a
policies,
yes, isn't it?
Yes.
Because we live in the real world, don't we?
Yes.
Are you personally responsible for everything President Trump says?
No, my role as the chairman of the
Before President Trump says something as President of the United States, does he call you up and say, Stephen, I'm about to say this and I want your approval? Does he do that?
Never.
And after the president says something, does he call you up and say, Stephen, was that okay? Are you okay with this?
Nope. I have an advisory role.
Okay. Now, sometimes intelligent adults, reasonable people disagree. Is that true?
Very often. No.
We don't live in La La Land, do we? Do we?
No.
Now, monetary policy is important, and the Fed is in charge of it. But monetary policy is not the only thing that's important. Fiscal policy is important, isn't it?
Fiscal policy is extremely important.
And I don't care how low the Federal Reserve lowers interest rates. If the United States Congress is profligate in its spending, if it spends money like it's pond water, if it runs up $37 trillion in debt, and deficit spends to the tune of 7% every year, that also has an impact on employment and economic growth and inflation, does it not?
Absolutely, and I think people often make a mistake by looking solely at monetary policy when fiscal policy is a huge driver.
And in fact, the Federal Reserve can lower short-term rates through the Open Market Committee all you want. But that doesn't necessarily mean that long rates, 10 years and above, are going to go down, does it?
Not necessarily.
Right, because if the bond market counts too, doesn't it?
Of course.
If you can lower rates as low as you want to, but if the bond market thinks that inflation is on the horizon, those rates are going to keep going up or at least stay steady. Isn't that accurate?
Yes, the Federal Reserve does not control the long end of the yield curve.
Okay, so what Congress does matters, doesn't it?
Hugely.
My good friend Senator Warren says, you're Donald Trump's puppet. Are you Donald Trump's puppet?
Not at all. I'm very independently minded, as shown by my willingness to stray from consensus and have out-of-consensus views, and I believe that, I will continue to be as independent, in my thinking process, if confirmed.
We're going to hold you to that, Governor, future Governor. You need to call them like you see them. There's nothing wrong with politicians in Washington offering their opinions. You can't stop them. But we need a monetary plan that was put together by something other than vodka and darts. And that's what we had the Federal Reserve for. Now, you're going to get a lot of advice from politicians. I'm not saying they're always wrong. Even a blind chicken finds a mealworm now and then. But you've got to call them like you see them. And ignore, nothing wrong with people giving their advice, but ignore all the rhetoric from all politicians. Will you give me that commitment?
I do commit to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
First up, Kennedy goes straight for the basics. Do presidents appoint their enemies? Of course not, and Dr. Myron agrees. Presidents pick people who think like they do, especially on key issues like the economy. Kennedy's point? Let's stop pretending that nominees are neutral when we know they're chosen for alignment. Then came a deeper dig. Are you responsible for everything President Trump says? Dr. Myron made it clear. No, he's not Trump's speech editor, and he doesn't get a call before or after any presidential rant. Kennedy moved to a more philosophical point. Adults disagree, and that's normal. He emphasized that it's not the job of aides, staffers, or advisors to hold press conferences and correct their president. Not under Trump, not under Biden, not under Obama. Because, as Kennedy so bluntly put it, we don't live in La La Land. Let that sink in. Agreeing to disagree is part of the gig, and Myron confirmed he knows how to navigate that political reality. By the way, if you're enjoying this so far, smash that subscribe button. It helps more people find this content and keeps us going strong. Here's where things got economic. Kennedy laid it down hard. Monetary policy is important, but fiscal policy, that's where the real fire is. Congress spends like it's pond water, racking up $37 trillion in debt and running deficits at 7% annually. Dr. Myron didn't push back, he agreed. The Fed can cut rates all day long, but if Congress is spending recklessly, it's like trying to mop up a flood with a paper towel. Strong point. Fiscal irresponsibility drives inflation, weakens growth, and limits the Fed's effectiveness. Now this part is where the financial nerds perked up, myself included. The Fed can set short-term rates, but the bond market controls the long-term game. If investors expect inflation, long-term rates go up. Dr. Myron confirmed. The Fed doesn't control the long end of the yield curve. Translation? Wall Street doesn't care what Jerome Powell wants. If they smell inflation, they'll price it in, and rates will rise regardless. This was a solid reminder that economic policy isn't controlled by one office. Markets play a massive role. Then came the zinger from Kennedy, quoting Senator Warren. "Are you Donald Trump's puppet?" Dr. Myron didn't flinch, said flatly, "Not at all." He backed it up by saying he often holds non-consensus views and would remain independently minded if confirmed. Kennedy pushed for one final commitment. Ignore political noise, no vodka and darts style planning, make decisions based on sound economics, not who's yelling the loudest. Dr. Myron committed, clearly, and we'll be watching to hold him to it. That's the full breakdown. 10 key moments from a sharp, pointed, and honestly refreshing exchange between Senator Kennedy and Dr. Myron. It was political theater, yes, but also a crash course in how appointments, policy, and power really work. If you found this valuable, give it a like and hit that subscribe button for more straight-shot summaries and sharp takes on political hearings, economic moves, and all things Capitol Hill. Catch you in the next one.